Hello, this is David Cherry, and what I'm going to be talking about here is Apache uh, htaccess files and redirection. The way I'm going to show you is the best way to do it. You'll have less errors, less problems. Other way I've been doing it is no longer working, and I had to find a workaround, and so this workaround works good enough that I can work with it to redirect to redirect with a web server. Okay. Now the first thing you'll have to remember is you're going to need to have this line right here, which says right here. You'll need to have the rewrite engine on. Okay. All right, you'll need to have that line in this file. And the only lines you need to put in there in the file to test for redirection on your server, okay, is these lines right here. Okay. All right, now, if you notice, I don't have what is typically in the, the page, the, authenticate, for like username and password and stuff, because that's not what we're testing. What we're testing here is, will a URL redirect to where we want it to go? Okay, and in order to do that, okay, you're going to need this in Apache 2.4. Okay, and then you can redirect to your website, and the different ways is, okay, you can do it is to redirect to a whole website. Okay, you can do it, use this line right here. Okay, all right. If you want to redirect to an error page, okay, the older way was a lot easier and simpler, but it's no longer available. It doesn't work, so I had to do some workarounds. Okay, all right. You can redirect. Well, there is a way to do it actually. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, you can redirect to an error page. Okay, I should have redone that anyway. So basically, redirect to error page. Okay, this is what I really need here. Okay, so you want to redirect to error page, but you don't want your error page in the document root of which your htaccess file's in. Okay, and I'll give you an explanation why. Because if they access the error page, in that document root, you'll have an issue. Okay, and then at the same time, it's better to place it out of the document root somewhere else, okay, where you can do certain things. Okay, and I want to show you what I've done. All right, so anyway, another thing is you got to remember when you're doing redirection, okay, with mode, with the rewrite engine on, you have to make sure that the status codes are appropriate. Okay, so like this one, 301 means redirect anyway. Okay, and so that's a status code that is used by the Apache web server to do tracking things, and it ends up in your log files for your Apache log files. Okay, so they have to match. So you got to have something to help you to remind you, and I'll show you something in a little bit. Okay, all right. Now, then this is not commented out. Okay. And so because it's not commented out, let's say someone tries to access some files in the ht in my directory, which has the htaccess file, okay, then it will redirect them, and they won't be able to access it. They won't be able to access any files in that directory because I have the htaccess file in the directory where I want it. Okay. And then here, okay, the alternative, the workaround is this way. Okay, if you want to redirect to the same page in the directory, all right, rather than redirect 301, okay, and the reason I'm using this here, the redirect 301, and this is important, is because when I'm looking at redirecting for blocking IPs, this is the way I'm going to do it right here. Okay, now I could possibly do it this way too, and I may, but I'm intending to do it this way if everything works out. Okay, so if you want to redirect to a page in the current directory, you can use this right here, but you got to make sure, okay, that it's correct. Now this here is this status code, whereas this in here, This status code means redirect, just do a redirect. This status code actually shows an error. Okay, so you know, and and that's what it actually does. It's actually showing error. And so, but if you wanted to redirect, let's say, to a login page in the actual document that you have, that the htaccess file is, that's what you want to use. Okay. Now, the other thing you'll have to be sure to do is have these lines right here, options dash indexes. And the reason that is necessary is because without it, people will be able to browse that directory. And so that disables directory browsing, and it also helps reduce errors in testing. So you want to always have that when you're testing your htaccess logs. Okay, now I'm going to show you an example of what it may look like. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and hide this. This will hide on its own in a minute. Okay, now anyway, this is what the page will look like when it goes to the page. That's the page and what it will look like. Okay, so anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write local host. Let me get this out of there. All right, I'm going to copy that there. All right, and I already got it there. Okay, so now we're going to start off with a new browser. Oh, by the way, let me say one thing first. If you redirect for any reason whatsoever when you're doing redirection, okay, what was I trying to say? Yeah. I forgot. Never mind. Okay, so anyway, this is how we're going to redirect right here. Okay, now see what I've done there? Now, when I enter this code, it's not going to allow them to enter the server directly. Okay, it's going to actually redirect them out of the directory, which is my localhost directory. All right, so they can't access it. All right, and it goes like this right here. Watch this. See there? So that's it. Now this is my localhost IP right here. Okay, shows an error login right here. Okay, and so that's how it works. And so no matter how many times I log in, it'll do that. Okay, and so this is for me and my server when I log in, and these are little notes that I put in there to help me keep track of projects that I'm working on. So basically, that's all that you need to do when you're working on your htaccess file. You want to be sure that you have everything there. And this is the code that you need right here. And I will wait just for a minute so you can pause this and copy the code. And this is what you want to remember, okay, for doing a basic htaccess file for testing redirection. All right. All right, now I want to show you some things I got in the file here actually that you need to see. Okay, now all this up here. Now what I've done here is these are comments, and these are the important codes that you want to have in your htaccess file commented to help remind you, what status code, which is what this is, means. And so like the 301 just means redirect, and that's what I said up here. Now, if you don't put the proper status code when redirecting in this manner, it will not work. Okay, and then like a bad request or forbidden. Okay, so right here you see for the error document it shows as forbidden, which works in the same directory. Okay, so I'm leaving this up for you to see, and this is the complete code you'll use. Okay, for what you want to do. Okay, and so it's very, very, very helpful to know what to do, and for your Apache server. Okay, and this is for Apache version. Did I change it here? Maybe I don't have all the code up there. Hold on. Yeah, Apache version 2.4. Okay, so this is the whole code you see here. Now I'm going to show you one other thing here, some things and notes that I put in here to remind me. And you might want to do the same things when you're doing your files, your htaccess testing, because it'll be there for you to remember and do a backup for each test. Okay, so note one. Every time you modify the htaccess file, it's best to clear browser history and stop. Okay, that's what this is supposed to be. And stop and restart the Apache server. That's the best. Now, you don't actually have to do that when you're testing for redirection. Okay, when you're testing for redirection, you know, all you got to do is clear your browser history. Otherwise, you know, you're going to have a pain in the butt. And believe me, you'll have a pain in the butt. But I didn't want to go through all that on this because it makes it difficult, and I just want to show you the basic code. Note number two, you must disable directory browsing options. And this is what I've done right down here. This is where you disable your directory browsing options. And see, I have it commented here. Okay. And now I'm going to give you a note. I say a note on using options indexes in htaccess files. In htaccess files, okay, it will make the directory access forbidden, and the server will say forbidden. In other words, when you do that, if anyone tries to access your directory that you don't want accessed, anything in that, wherever you have your htaccess file at, whatever's in that directory and subdirectories, they will not be able to access, and they'll get a forbidden page, okay, from the web server itself, okay? And you know, so unless you have redirects like I have here, okay? Now, so that's on using the option for forbidden. And the page also says you do not have permissions to access this file. Okay, so the page will say forbidden. You do not have permissions to access this file, and that's what happens when you you disable your option indexes. Okay. All right. Now, for this to work, you must have this line in there. All right, which is RewriteEngine On in the config files. This must be in the config file by all means. Okay. This here is just a reminder, so you don't really need that. Okay. All right, and then for incorrect status codes will cause issues and errors. As I noted below earlier, incorrect status codes will cause issues and errors. All right, now let me go down here one more time. All right, and I'm going to delete this right here for you to see. Okay, this is the basic code you need to do redirection testing, okay, for your server to find out if you can actually redirect a URL using an htaccess file. And the last thing I want you to remember is this line right here. Okay, if you want to access in that server, you know, a certain page in the same directory, you're going to need to use this right here. Okay, you'll need to use this error document 403 index error.php. Okay, and so this is David Cherry with my tip for you on how to do directory redirection wherever your htaccess file is, and the tips that I've showed you. I hope you like this, and I thank you. Have a good day. Be blessed. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, okay, and let other people know about me. Have a very, very good day.